Hi everyone, I'm Corinne.
Hi, and I'm John, and welcome everyone to Living News. It's been a little while since we last had our last episode,
Yes,
but I'm really looking forward to tonight. And it's a subject that is of real importance, and that we hope that you'll really get a benefit and that you'll really enjoy the content of what we have to present to you tonight.
yes, absolutely. So we're encouraging you, if you are watching and you have any questions, something that's not really clear, because it's such an important topic we're going to be covering today. So we don't want you to have any doubts or any queries. Just message us, get in touch with us. If you're enjoying the program, we ask you to share it with your friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and we've also got some people online. So if you on Facebook or YouTube and you want to communicate with us, just send a message through, type a message, and we'll get that. If we can respond back to you straight away, we will. Otherwise, our coordinators online will do that. They'll talk to you separately, but we'll respond to you as much as we can.
Absolutely, we will. So I wanted to just say to you that if you know of a good news story, can you just let us know so we can share it with other people so they can be blessed by it as well. And also, if you yourself have thought of a special topic or subject that maybe you'd like Johnny and I to look into and
Yep.
to bring to the program, please just let us know. We're not professionals here. We're just doing this to bless you and also to encourage you in your journey.
Amen. Well, thank you very much, Corinne. I think we're going to go straight in
Let's do it.
to our health segment, Living Well.
Excellent. Auntie Corinne here. I'm so excited to be talking to you today about this new incentive. So they've come up with this new start, and all the letters of that word actually has a meaning. And Auntie Bianca and Jordan and Penguin and Snoopy did an amazing job teaching us about how healthy food makes us stronger and we can do more things and we have more energy. Today, I'll be telling you about the second letter in that word, which is the letter E. And the letter E is for exercise. When you don't know what you're talking about, like Auntie Corinne, the best thing to do is ask someone who does. I'll see if there's someone around. Hey, Dom. Hey, Dom.
Oh! Hi!
Do you have a minute?
Yeah, of course.
Do you know how much your mum doesn't really exercise that much?
No, my mum exercises a lot. She does. She's just saying that.
I'm wondering whether you could help us with that a little bit.
Oh, okay. I might know a few tricks here and there. Come closer. You gotta look at this. We're gonna do some cool tricks. Now, exercise is about getting excited about how your body moves. It's about what you feel comfortable with. And if you're really excited about dancing, jumping, rolling, running, biking, anything, playing sports, you just go with that. And sometimes it's always good to try something new. Now today we're going to try something new that I like to do. It's pretending to be animals. Now I have some very, very cool animals to introduce you today. Now if you have some cool ones as well, you can follow along. But my first one is going to be a bear. Now this is going to be very, very good for strengthening up your tummy muscles, your shoulders, and also being really good at your sports when you start to play things like soccer and a lot like basketball as well. So what we're going to do is put your feet apart before you start. Put something here to show that you're going to start here, and something that you're going to put at the end to tell you when to stop. Actually, red should be stop. Let's go this way. So I'm going to put my hands open, I put my bottom in the air, and see if you can walk all the way to the end. Whew. My shoulders are a bit sore, so I better stretch them out. Go around. Whoa! Sorry, I started to flap a bit there like a bird. I thought I was going to take off from the ground. Well, funny enough, the next one is actually a bird. It's called a flamingo. So what you need to try and do here, with your arms again, put them out, and see if you can flap, flap, flap. Put one foot in the air. Now, if you find that easy, you might be able to hop like a flamingo all the way across to the end. Now, if that's your strong leg, don't forget to do the other one as well. Flap, flap, flap. Knee up, hopping to the end. Easy peasy, right? Come closer. We're going to get into some really, really tricky ones. The trickiest animal of all, the crab. Pinch, pinch. Take a look at this. All you have to do here is lift your tummy all the way up to the sky. Oh, man. Sometimes I even fall down. Just get back up, try again. Tummy up. Oh, man. I told you this one was hard. Ooh, much stronger. Side to side, even the other way. Side to side. Maybe in a bear. Maybe hop. Even with your eyes closed. Oh, you can have lots of fun with it and create your own, but the big thing is keep your body moving. Can you feel my heart here? Ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. Anything that gets your heart racing is good for your body. Keep your body moving, especially when you're feeling a little bit tired, a little bit sleepy, a little bit upset, because that's when you should be moving the most. Now I've got to get going. See you later.
Hey, that was great. Well done, Corinne and Dom. Just really enjoyed that. Hey, Corinne, I've got a question to ask you, though.
Oh dear.
How's that bike riding going?
Well, it's going a little bit all right. Dennis and I, we've actually taken the bike and going by the river. So it's been something that I've really enjoyed doing, but probably not doing it enough. But I liked how one of the comments were, I think it was from some Leanne, she said that walking the dog. And because I have a big dog, so we do a lot of walking. So yeah, exercise is really, really good.
Yeah.
It's just good fun.
What I really liked about what Dom was sharing was about how exercise can actually be fun. How doing these animals and all that type of stuff. It's just, and I think sometimes people look at exercise as something that, is a burden, something that's really hard.
No, not at all. If it's that, then you don't want to do it.
That's right.
Because it has to be something that you want to do, and then you're motivated to do it more. And I remember this clip was played a while back in a children's department, and the amount of messages that we had about that. The kids were hopping around as Dominic was doing it. So it's great to see that, that something as simple as that they connected with and they were doing it. So it's great.
Yeah. And I think, Corinne, too, that a lot of people don't realise the importance of exercise. Just as important as good diet, it's exercise. And if you don't exercise, you're not going to get your blood circulating to move all the nutrients around your blood system, to heal your body. So exercise is so important for healing. And did you know, with depression, I was listening to a talk by a doctor in America just recently, and out of all the things that you could give somebody for depression, like medication or and things like that, or different types of treatment, the number one best treatment for depression is exercise.
So do it today, even if you don't have depression.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of people saying, the norm, I'm too busy to exercise. But I know for myself that if I have a big day at the office, I do work from home. So just to get that break, I'll just close the door, take the dog, go around the neighborhood and come back. And, you just feel so much better.
Yeah. So with COVID, a lot of people reduced their exercise, the amount of exercise they were doing. And a lot of people going backwards. Even myself wasn't exercising much. And you can feel your health goes backwards.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I'm getting back into, exercise again properly. And
good on you, Johnny.
You can really feel the difference. So I want to encourage you, or Corinne and I want to really encourage everyone to get back into exercise. And even if it's winter, you say, oh, it's not sunny outside, but you can still exercise. You can exercise at, inside your home, and you don't even need exercise equipment. You don't need big things. Just a restrictive band, one of those rubber bands, bit of restriction. And I remember watching something where a guy was just using a towel and a broomstick for all his exercises.
Absolutely.
And he was like really buff, a bit like Arnie. Arnie is a bit like Arnie, but all he used was a towel and a broomstick to do all his exercise.
Wow.
So you don't need big expensive equipment. You don't have to join a gym, but the important thing is start. And even if you start a little bit and then just grow. Okay.
And you know one thing, Dominic, some of you might not know, but he's actually that's his job. He works with children to get them moving. And he always says it's not doing a big amount in one day and then the next 3 days you don't do anything, but be consistent. If you decide you're going to do 10 minutes or half an hour, be consistent and do it 3-4 times a week rather than you just do 3 hours in one day and then it's gone, which is sometimes me. But anyway.
Anyway, Corinne, I think it's time to move on to our next episode. And we've actually got a couple of guys that we'll bring online a little bit later. But just before they do, we've got a summary clip. Just give a bit of a summary of what we're going to talk about. That's really, really, really interesting. And then we're going to actually interview a couple of guys on this subject that is really important.
Okay.
So I'm really looking forward to the interview. But beforehand, let's have a look at this clip.
Couples who are preparing for a lifetime commitment together seek to make a will in preparation for the wedding day and future life together. An opportunity arises for the director to encourage the couple to discuss the relational and financial challenges of bringing these two people together. While children are often seen as a very positive addition to the family, they do bring with them many challenges. One of these, from a will perspective, is to answer the question, who will care for my minor child or children when I die? The will is able to appoint a legal guardian for this purpose. The question of how do I provide care to my intellectually limited child, or if I die or am too frail, is one that is raised more often these days. These matters can be discussed and the will prepared appropriately with a referral made to third parties who can provide further assistance and information. The use of illicit or abuse of legal drugs is not limited to those of the will. Many families struggle with a family member who has become addicted to drugs and alcohol. They are not sure how to provide appropriately in their wills. Providing a confidential space for a church member to discuss sensitive matters such as this and others goes a long way towards their mental and spiritual well-being. While separation and divorce is statistically on the downward trend, sadly, it is very much a part of many people's experience. Again, the director has a front row seat, so to speak, in this space. The death of a client or their family member often, like with divorce, is a time of grief, loss and sadness for the family. The director is able to fluidly move between the pastoral and the legal and back again as needed, walking beside the person, journeying together from sometimes a very dark place into the light of hope. The director is not a financial advisor. However, as one works through the details of the client's estate, it can become obvious that the client is in need of appropriate financial advice. There is then the opportunity to enlighten the client and encourage them to seek this advice from an appropriately qualified person. With the coming together of families who have previously been married, there are, of course, sometimes the familial challenges of his or her and their children, and then there are the financial challenges of how to satisfy one's legal and moral obligation to those parties in a will. There can be many emotional black holes that arise that can raise or lower tension between couples and extended family. The director is able to assist the couple to navigate through these difficult waters to a place of calm and safety. Superannuation is a quandary for most people, and while the director is not an expert in this area, there are a couple of matters that are simple and straightforward that affect singles in particular, but also those in their first or second marriage. These can be raised with a client who usually has not been made aware by their superannuation company of these areas of concern. Spiritual. While the director may not always be a professional pastor, he or she is able to be pastoral towards his or her client. One of the most common phrases I use in the interview room to put people at ease is all families have stuff. Not just for members. It is for anyone who has had any kind of contact with the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Therefore, many of our clients are not only non-Seventh-day Adventists, but non-Christian.
So Trust Services is more than just typing and filing and taking will appointments. It's a real ministry. Thank you.
Well, Corinne, wasn't that interesting?
Very interesting. I want to know more.
Yeah.
So who's going to help us to get to know more?
Okay, we're gonna bring on Josh and Rodney. If you can, there.
Hi, guys.
Oops, what's happened here?
Thank you for joining us. We are cut. I think, well, that's
better.
heaps better.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you. So, Josh and Rodney, thank you very much for being willing to spend this time to share your work and what you do with us and our audience.
Most welcome. Thanks for inviting us along.
Yeah, no worries. Look, I think a lot of Trust Services and the work that you do, and I think it's amazing. And I really appreciate the information that you gave us in that clip, Rodney, which is quite detailed. We've just got a few more questions we'd like to ask you. You know, some questions that have come out of that. You know, you did mention quite a number of things, reasons why it's important to have a will, but what would you say would be the most important few reasons for making a will, if there are a few?
I've got a really simple answer for that one, John. The most important reason to have a will is if you're alive.
Okay.
I think everyone who's especially over the age of 18, it's really important to have a will. There are certainly times of life where the contemplation of, your death and what happens to your assets might become a little more important. But if you start the moment, essentially, you turn 18, then start to reinvestigate that when you get married, when you have kids, when your assets change dramatically. There are stages of life where it's important to update your will, but I think as soon as you turn 18, try and get a will sorted out.
All right.
And having a will is one of the greatest gifts that you can give to your family, because without a will and you pass away, your estate can be left in such a mess that your family are already in turmoil and distress because of your death, and to leave them in a financial place where their stress is added because of the difficulties involved in an intestacy estate. The best thing you can do is just provide a will that's a gift to your family. Just having a will so that your estate is in a structured and in a way that is administered much more smoothly, less expensive, and less time consumed.
Yeah, that's so true what you're saying. Why, you don't know in life what could happen. And if you're going through that process of mourning, the last thing you want to do is add something else and be stressed about finance or anything. So what happens then, guys, if I have heard things like, if you don't have a will, your assets or whatever will go to the government. Can you shed some light on that? Is it true? Is there an amount of truth in it?
I suppose there's a level of truth in that if nothing else can happen, it possibly will end up with the government at the the nth degree. But generally speaking, and in Australia we have what is known as family provision, where you have a moral obligation in your will, generally, assuming you have one, to provide for your family members. And so even if you don't have a will, the courts, the legal system will try to ensure that your estate could be administered in such a way to still honour that. Mm-hmm. It is just a lot more complicated than if you had a will. So there would be a process that could be followed, but it's a lot more involved.
Okay, and I guess also then they would try and be fair, say if it was a few kids, to try and spread it out, which might not be your actual, what you wanted, but then they just try and be fair. So it wouldn't be, what I'm trying to say. Wouldn't be really what you wanted, but because you didn't leave a will, they have to do what's best in that regards, if that
And
makes
that
sense.
differs from state to state. So, each state has its own succession law in terms of intestacy. And for instance, in some states, a percentage will go to the spouse in the first instance, and but then the remainder may be divided up between the children and the spouse. So, it means that the family home may in fact end up being shared by the spouse and the children. So obviously, if you had a will, you may not want that to happen.
That's an interesting point, Rodney, and I'm glad you brought up that point, because we know from correspondence from my viewers, we've got viewers from all over Australia and even overseas. So understanding that not all wills are the same, it's really important to liaise with somebody like yourselves that really know what they're doing, and trying to make sure it's all done properly. So considering that, we were talking about the importance of make a will, but if my situation changes, like so I bought a house or something like that and it wasn't in my will, do we have to update the will every time something major happens, or how often should you update the will? If what happens if something changes dramatically, but you haven't updated your will? How does that get a bit complex then? Or?
It kind of does depend on the level of change. If I have someone come to me, the first thing that we would do as trust services directors is conduct an interview with that person or that couple to get a sense of what they're wanting to achieve in getting a will put together. And part of that is getting some idea of their assets and their liabilities. Now, that being said, most often we are not extremely specific in writing up how that estate will be distributed. So, John, if you've got 3 houses, for instance, unless you tell me that you want to leave one house for this person, one house for that person, and one house for that person, we generally wouldn't write that we're going to deal with house A this way and house B this way. We would simply write that the whole estate will be given to my spouse or divided into 2 parts, and half of it goes to my kids and the other half goes to this charity of my choosing, whatever that looks like. So in some regard, there's not a need unless those assets do change dramatically. And there's got to be some common sense there, because if we get a rough idea of your financial situation, house prices go up and down, your superannuation value goes up and down, your bank accounts go up and down, cars lose value generally the moment they get driven out of the lot. Although in this climate, I think secondhand cars are more pricey than brand new cars in some cases. So there isn't a need necessarily to update your will, but it's always good to keep a check on what you're wanting to achieve with your will, because you may change what you want to achieve in 5 years from now, and it's always good to have a bit of a check on that anyway. So yes, come back, have a chat to a trust services director. We'll maybe be able to have a brief chat and see what you want to achieve in updating your will. It may or may not be necessary, but it's always good to have that check-in.
Often it's to do with relationships more than assets. As relationships change, you have children where you didn't have children before, so you want to make sure you provide to them. Your father passes away and he was appointed as an executor. Well, you need to review your will and update your will. So it's as relationships change, as people come in and out of your life, that's one of the major reasons for updating your will. But as Josh has said, assets, if the more specific people are in their will, the more often they will need to update their will. If you put in your will, I want to give my table to my son John, and then you go and sell your table. Well, you don't have a table anymore, so you might want to give him the TV instead. So the more general you are, the less you need to update. So people could make a will at the age of 21 in their marriage and never make a will again. They made provision for each other for the fact that they'll have children. They've got executors appointed. And that may be the only will that they ever make. Others will come back more regularly.
Year in, year out.
Yeah, I think Dennis and I we're in the process of updating ours with you guys at the moment, and that's probably the third time that we're doing that. So wills really, from what I'm hearing, it's Rodney, you said it was about relationships and things like that. It's not just about money, is it really? What else is it about?
It truly is about those relationships. How are you wanting to care for those that you leave behind? And whilst that often does come with some kind of financial benefit, I think the most important thing is that those that you leave behind in receiving a financial benefit recognize that you cared enough to plan for them once you pass away. And as Rodney said, kind of right at the beginning of this segment, you know, you're wanting to leave a gift for your family. And what better gift to say than, you know, I've planned for when I pass away to try and make things as easy as possible for you, to try and make the distribution of assets as easy as possible, and make that mourning process as celebratory as it can be without the added stress of having to
Yeah,
worry about that all yourself.
so true.
I really like what you're saying about relationships, because that's so important. But it also brings up a question in relation to relationships, and you know, I've known of people trying to fight wills, and you know, people that haven't been in the scene, for instance, like a son or a daughter that, you know, has been gone for years, and then all of a sudden somebody passes away, and they want a portion of it, but yet they might not necessarily be in the will, but yet they're a son and daughter. So how can they fight that? And you know, how much power do they have compared to what's written in the will?
Well, we live in a country that's based on law, so and it's a free country. So a person can has a legal right to make a will that disposes of his or her assets as they choose. So that's very important to understand. So anyone can dispose of their assets as they will. They can give their whole estate, you know, to the cat home or the dog home or the person down the street or whoever. They can do that. But it also means that other people have legal rights as well. And those other persons have the legal right to what's called contest a will, in which they believe that they have not been appropriately provided for.
Okay. Interesting.
It's not a simple answer, though, John, because some people may never contest a will, whereas some people will always want to try and contest the will. And it's really circumstantial to see whether someone would. And in the example that you've provided, the first thing that I would say to that is if there's an estrangement to the level that I think you've described, my first question would be, does that child, for instance, even know that their father or their mother has passed away? And that, you know, you've got to have knowledge in order to know that there's a will to even contest. But that's an area of law that many other people much learned than us study many years to work in.
Okay.
And once upon a time, the courts would lean more towards the testate of the person who's preparing their will in terms of their wishes. But in contemporary times, the court realizes more and more that relationships that fail are not one way. You know, relationships fail because often because of, you know, it's a two-way thing. And so it, you know, for instance, it might be that a father was an abusive father. And so the child has grown up in an abusive family, abused by their father, and chooses not to have anything more to do with them once they become an adult. And then the father then says, well, you've had nothing to do with me. I'm going to leave you out of my will. And so the court might look at that and go, well, is that reasonable? And so, you know, these matters are not black and white. They are not clear cut. So there is an expectation in the community of a person having a moral and legal obligation to certain persons, and they are to their spouse and to their children, to the dependent that's in their lives. And if they choose not to provide for them, then we have to make it clear to them that those persons do have a legal right to make a claim on the estate.
Yeah, no worries.
Whether
Thank you.
they'll-
Look, go on.
Sorry, whether they will or will do, as Josh said, whether they will make a claim or not, who knows?
Don't know.
And whether
Yeah.
that claim would be successful, that's up for the court to decide. But
Yeah.
they do have that legal right.
Okay. Look, we actually had some more questions, but you've actually answered them all already in the discussion. But there's just two more questions, the really important questions that we can't complete this interview without.
Yeah. So, it sounds like it's pretty involved, this process of doing a will. I know people can just go and get a kit, but that's definitely not something I would even consider doing, because you work so hard for your money to get a home, to get everything. You really want to get it done by someone in the know, like you guys. Now, I do have a question. Two questions. Do you charge to make a will for someone?
Simple answer is no. We don't charge
Wow.
anything for trust services. So it is a service that the church offers. It's in the name, trust services. It seems a bit of an odd kind of title, I suppose. We're talking about wills and then we're talking about trusts, but trust services is the name of, I'm a trust services director. Rodney is a trust services director. And what that means is it's a service that we provide to our church members, as well as those connected with our church. And it's not something that we charge for. Now, that being said, when it comes to administering the estate at the point that someone has passed away, there probably will be some costs associated there, but they're not charged by us and they're not received by us. That's something that you would likely engage your solicitor with in wills and probate to help with that process. But from the trust services side of things, it's a free service.
So, Josh, you are saying to me, this is my lovely next door neighbor who doesn't have a will. Because they know me, I can actually refer them to you guys for you to do their will, correct?
I'd be happy to take an appointment with a referral like that, so long as they have a connection to someone within the church. The service is available.
Yes, as a matter of fact, we have used those services with a lot of our family members who are not the same denomination, but who have just loved the service that you guys provide. It is a real blessing what you are doing.
Yeah, and I've got elderly. I did have, but they've since moved. Elderly couple that were next door neighbours of mine.
Is that right?
Yep, and trust services did their will. Again, not the same denomination, but they really love the service, and they actually just said recently they actually got to contact you again to renew it. So,
Rodney, you've got many more years' experience in this role than I do, but even in my short time, I've been lucky enough to deal with people who have come back to the church because of trust services. They're not church members, but they'll come back and utilize the service. And we see people that are Catholic, that are Presbyterian, that are Baptist, that are Buddhist, that are, you name it. If they're connected to the church, we're always open to having that discussion.
That's great service.
So we really appreciate this, guys. Really appreciate the work that you're doing, the service that you're providing, and we just hope that our listeners will engage with this opportunity or this service and contact you guys. So if our listeners or our audience want to get hold of you, what is the best way they can do that?
Well, John, one of the challenges with that is based on where they live, and this is going out over the airwaves of social media, and so if they're based in Victoria, essentially Victoria, New South Wales, which is like Orange down to Victoria, Tasmania, they get in touch with me, and I'll be able to assist them. If they're in other areas, they get in touch with someone else. And it depends on where they are as to who that someone else is. But the best way to do it is to contact your local Seventh-day Adventist Church conference office, and they'll put you in touch with the right person.
Nice.
Our church division office we're currently in the process of developing a website where there is a map of the world, actually. And so a person worldwide can click on wherever it is that they are, and that will bring up the information that they will need worldwide. So for Australia, it will be based on the conference breakdown, but that's yet to get live. It's in the background, but it's actually not a live document on the web yet.
So in the meantime, just to round this off, in the meantime, if they need to contact you, just go on the web, find their closest Seventh-day Adventist church or conference, contact them, and they'll contact you. Otherwise, our audience can actually just contact us, Living News, on our Facebook or YouTube page, and we'll get you the contact details for Josh or Rodney or whoever you may need.
Yeah, sounds
So
like a good plan.
thank you very much again, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Really appreciate your time and your contribution.
That was
Most
awesome.
welcome. Thanks for inviting us along.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
That is so good. Like,
Fantastic.
honestly, I love
Yep.
free stuff. If you can get such a very good service like that and it's free,
yeah,
you'd be silly not to take it.
yeah. Corinne, I think we're going to go for a little break, and we got our recipe for today.
Wonder what it's
So let's have a look what recipe it is.
Today I want to share with you one of my quick and easy recipe of just roasted vegetables. It's super quick, super easy, super nutritious, packed with fiber, packed with vitamins and minerals and macronutrients. It's quick and easy, done under 35 minutes, and it's served with amazing avocado. For today's recipe, we're going to use cauliflower, baby corn, asparagus, potatoes, carrots, swede. On the first cauliflower, I put some passata, on the other one salt and turmeric, plenty of fresh herbs, rosemary, oregano, sage. And please don't be afraid to use any other spices and herbs that you have. They don't have to be fresh, they can be dried. With the second tray, I use the same herbs, rosemary, sage, oregano, bit of salt. You can add some garlic, minced, fresh, or dried. We'll move into our avocado dip. Super quick, super easy. You need coriander, red onion, avocado, salt, chili flakes. Scoop your avocados onto a plate and mash it with fork. You can leave chunky pieces or you can make it as smooth as you like. Then you squeeze your lemon onto it, as much as you like, of course. I like a fair bit. You want to taste that lemon in it. Sprinkle with salt to taste. I use Himalayan salt. Chop your red onion really finely, same with coriander. Just be mindful with coriander, not everyone likes heaps of it in the dish, so just use sparingly. Mix everything through, taste for flavor. Your avocado mash is done. Look at our vegetables. After 35 minutes at 200 degrees, they are ready. They look divine, they are delicious, they're super healthy, they're packed with fiber. You're ready to serve. Plate your vegetables on the plate, put avocado next to it or on top of it. You can use the avocado on your roasted vegetables, that's what we made it for, but also on your sandwiches, in your salads, in your stews, in your soups. Be creative with it. Enjoy healthy, delicious dinner. Till we see you again, stay healthy and safe. God bless.
Wow. Already had dinner tonight, but that looked yummy.
That did. And you know what? Dennis makes the nicest baked veggies. But she just given us so many ideas in that clip what to add in there. It looks amazing.
No, it was really good. And you know how I really like health and stuff like that. There was a health summit on last week. How many doctors there? About 30 different doctors each day for doing a talk. And so I subscribed to that and I downloaded the talks and listened to them. And there was one doctor there who was actually saying how good avocado is for you, which is really good. But it's even better when you have it with tomatoes and their combination, just like guacamole. Just some tomatoes in the avocado.
Sam, did you hear that, good. Sam? Guacamole, your favorite.
So, guacamole is actually really good for you. When you have
who
that.
would have thought?
So thanbb very much, Bibi, for
that.
your recipe. Really enjoyed that. And looking forward to the next one. And Corinne, we're actually going to move on again. We've got another interview in relation to wills and so forth. And this one's more on the finance side of things.
Okay.
And so I'd like to invite Dennis to come on. Hi, Dennis. How are you? I think your mic is muted.
Your mic is muted, Dennis.
Okay.
Is it?
Yeah, no, it's good,
It's good now.
All good.
Okay.
Yeah, Dennis, so thank you for joining us. Now, my understanding, Dennis, is that as an accountant, you've actually had to deal with a lot of wills that have had to come into play. And sometimes there's some tricky things about those. And so just wondering, as an accountant, what role do you play in wills?
Well, there's many roles that I play in wills. The simple one would be someone making a will and need help to work out if whatever they're going to leave behind will be sufficient for the family. That's the first thing I look at. The other thing is to help them with capital gain. This is very important. When you receive anything after death, there's no capital gain, but you might do things that will trigger capital gain. So you just want to make sure that this doesn't happen. And the third one is when you have a business. Whenever you have a business, you can't make a will without an accountant. You will need their help to make sure that everything is in place. Like Josh and Rodney said before, a will is there so that there's no mess behind. And if something is not done properly, you can leave a big mess behind.
So can you give us an example of some of the mess that has been left behind so that people can understand that risk?
Okay. So say, for example, you've got a business and you are the sole director of the business and you pass away. Okay. So they didn't realize that when you pass away, everything gets frozen. Okay. So basically, you want the business to be able to continue. You might have a cafe or you might have a factory, and if you pass away and you are the sole director, you're the only one who can sign the papers, go to the bank, everything is frozen and the business has to shut down because you can't pay suppliers, you can't have an FPOS machine. So we're here to help them, in a sense, set up the business. If something happened to you, okay, we can have somebody else to take over and to let the business run. That's what we do.
Right.
You know, Dennis, when we were talking to Josh and Rodney, they said as soon as you turn 18, you should have a will.
Yeah.
And I didn't think that really at that age you did. But I'm thinking now, like I know that I'm sure you have clients that are very young that run their business, and that will be a good idea to have a will and, get an accountant to look at it, because obviously that would be a big problem otherwise, isn't it? And these days, and if it's not a matter of being young or old, it's a matter of being prepared and organized, I think.
The other thing is that it's getting very popular those days where people has got family trust, and basically I've seen wills where people said, I'll give my family trust to someone, to my son, and this is something that you can't do because the family trust, you don't own it, you just control it, you're just a trustee of it. So basically you can't give something that's not yours away, and it's not worded properly. So what we do is that we look at the trust and we have a look who's the trustee, who's the appointed, and we just make sure that if something happened to you, somebody else can step in. Do you know what I mean? So if you run a business through a trust, we got to do the same thing, And self-managed super fund is another one, which is very popular these days. A lot of people has got a property in it. And we just want to make sure that everything is set up in a way that something happened to one of the husband or the wives, that everything will keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
really good advice.
And also, like myself, I'm in business and I've got business partners. So basically, I've got to have not only a will, I've got to have a contract with the people I work with. So if something happened to me, how are they going to pay me out? So I have to have that in place. Do you know what I mean? If tomorrow something happened to me, I've got a lot of money there, and I've got to have a contract with them to say, okay, can you pay my family, say over 5 years or over 10 years, whatever my portion is worth. So we this is all what we do. We just make sure that the will is written properly. We don't write will. All we do is advise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's the trust services and the lawyers that does all the will. We're just
Yeah.
here to make sure. And also we always minimize capital gain. That's what we do.
So Dennis, in relation to this financial advice, do you have to be a qualified financial advisor? Could any accountant give that advice, or is it only special accountants? What's the
No,
situation?
any accountant in public service can do that. Can help you with calculating capital gain. Is something very simple. You know what I mean? You've got to have the knowledge of it. So any accountant in public practice will be able to help you.
All right.
Okay.
I think it was good tonight to have a chat to Rodney, to Josh, and to yourself, because these things, everyday person like myself, I
Yeah.
don't know nothing about, but yet just to keep everything in order.
Yeah. And it's
To
important.
keep everything in order so you don't leave a great big chaos at the back for your family. So Dennis, I want to thank you for your time and for giving us some idea to where to go, especially if people have businesses that they need to have a think about it, and don't think when I'm 50 I'll start doing it, but just really get their finances and everything in order, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's great. No,
Yeah.
really good. Thank you, Dennis. Really appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
Yeah, really appreciate that. Corinne, we
Thank you, Dennis Paul.
You're welcome, Mrs. Paul.
I think people may have gathered now that Dennis is your husband.
Yes, it was a bit of a family thing today. I had Dominic in the exercise thing, but look,
Yeah.
it's really lovely that that people who have the knowledge is prepared to share it with you, because we want obviously for you to know this stuff and also to be prepared as well.
That's correct. We're going to be now, we can sit back and relax a little bit. We've got some beautiful music by Bruno and Isabel, and we're really looking forward to that. So let's have a listen to our music segment.
And maybe in the morning, when the day is awaking, when sunlight through darkness and shadows breaking, that Jesus will come in the fullness of glory to receive from the world his own. It may be at noonday, it may be at twilight, maybe by chance the blackness of midnight will burst into light in a blaze of his glory when Jesus receives his own. But until heart will sing till Jesus calls me home. But until then, my heart will go on singing. Until then, with joy I'll carry on. Until the day my eyes behold the city, my heart will sing till Jesus calls me home. Until the day my eyes behold the city, my heart will sing till Jesus calls me home.
Oh, wow. I really enjoyed this beautiful song.
Yeah.
And I hope that we have, we talked a lot about, something that we're all going to go through one day. We're all going to die, and how important it is to put our things in order. But that's not the end. There is hope still in the future.
Amen. Amen. And I couldn't, listening to that song, believe it or not, it's amazing how the Holy Spirit just provides and guides us with these programs each time we do it.
Every time.
And provide like that song, that provided tonight, that we just happened to come at the right time. It wasn't planned that way, but it just happened to come about the right time, and it has words in it that talks about death, and we're waiting until then when Jesus comes to take us home. And it reminds me of a Bible verse, Corinne, in Revelation chapter 21, verse 4, and it says, "And God will wipe away every tear from their eyes. There shall be no more death, nor sorrow, nor crying. There shall be no more pain, for the former things that pass away."
Amen.
I look forward to that day when Jesus comes back to take us home, and there won't be any more death or crying and suffering. We won't have to worry about wills and
things like that. Yeah.
So I look forward to that day. It's a great day.
Yeah, this is Dominic's favorite Bible text that you just read as well.
Oh, fantastic.
And he was on the show. Thank you for helping us out today, Dominic.
Yeah, really appreciate it, Dominic.
Josh, Dennis, Johnny, thank you for your time, and all the people behind the scenes.
Yeah, I just want to thank some of the people behind the scenes too, is Danubius, Samantha, Jamuka. Really appreciate your work behind the scenes and to make this happen. And look, folks, just before we go, just want to remind you, don't forget to share this because with your friends, because there are a lot of people out there that may not know about this service and they're hesitant to get a will created because they think it's going to cost a lot of money or things like that. This is a free service. Quite often they actually come to your home if you want them to, and you don't even have to leave your home.
Yeah.
So, share it with your people, with your friends, but also don't forget to like this clip and also subscribe to our pages, either to our YouTube page or to our Facebook page. So, Corinne, that comes to an end. There you go.
Yes.
There's the like button and the subscribe button.
You do that so well.
So don't forget to do that, and don't forget to way over there to share. So thank you very much, folks.
And thank you, our faithful viewers, for watching every time. We really enjoy sharing living news with you. We really, really do.
Amen. Until next time. See you later.
God bless. Bye.